Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I am Justin Stacy,
I'm Nate Thomas.
I'm Josh Matney.
and tonight we are kicking off our Halloween extravaganza for the month of October with the movie Halloween, or correction, John Carpenter's Halloween.
Let's be accurate.
Let's be accurate. Yes, Josh, this was your first, I guess, your idea to do this movie. I know it's one of your favorite movies. It's probably one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah,
for sure. And it was a really good rewatch. I don't think I've watched the first original one in a very long time, and it's definitely my favorite still.
It's probably the one I've watched countless times. I mean, I didn't really need to rewatch this for this podcast, and it's just one that still looks good even for its age. Like, the cinematography looks good, the music still sounds good, the acting is good. Well, for a horror movie, I guess, for some people, but like everything about it just still manages to look good even today.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a 70s movie, but I think that adds to the character of the movie.
Especially during the 70s, where they were trying to like get away from a lot of polished films. Like, Hollywood was like, they were trying to like try new things, and independent movies and more like raw looking film kind of was, and this kind of matches that setting. And this was John Carpenter's first breakthrough film, I guess.
That's fair.
Because his first few films didn't really blow up as much as like this one did.
Yeah. Before we get too deep in it, I think it's important to note to this podcast that Nate and I have Cobra Kai shirts on, and Josh does not. You didn't get the memo. You are not following the dress code tonight.
I never follow the dress code.
Listen, I'm just pleased that you're dressed at all. Okay, I'll take what
I'm dressed from up here. Everything down.
Hey.
Oh boy.
Hey, oh boy. We don't work blue here on a bottle of pop culture.
You don't want to say that because I draw cartoons.
I can show you my Halloween boxers if you want.
I'll just take your word for it, pal.
We're good. Oh, good stuff. All right, sit back, relax, put your feet up as we open a bottle of pop culture. All right.
We're gonna talk about some really cool stuff. Well, Josh, Nate, and I, we're gonna blow this thing up. We're gonna talk about the movies you love. And if you don't, well, that's just tough. But we're gonna talk about shows that are awesome. You'll say, whoa! When we talking about Blossom. This will be your one and only stop for everything nerdy in a bottle of pop culture.
All right. So one thing I forgot to look up a Google synopsis of this thing.
Oh, let's write our own.
Yeah. Let's describe this movie badly.
Crazy man murders horny teenagers. Roll credits.
That would describe all the 80s.
Every single horror film. Yep.
I mean, you can still read the official one, but...
William Shatner is obsessed with his sister and his family.
Parenting gone wrong.
Wait, murdering babysitters.
I'm good with that.
Which, fun fact, that was one of the title ideas for this was the babysitter murders.
That would work.
Doesn't have that much of a catchiness to it.
It really doesn't.
John Carpenter's babysitter murders. I don't think we're still talking about it 44 years later.
I don't think we are. But yeah, this was, as you said, John, this was John Carpenter's breakthrough hit. I mean, he was just a novice filmmaker at that time. Mm-hmm. This was really a breakthrough for a lot of actor. Jamie Lee Curtis. This was her
Yeah.
big first film. Now
Mhm.
she had been in other stuff before, but she was just more of an amateur actress.
This was her breakout role.
This was the breakout film, and really the only well-named actor at the time that they got was Donald Pleasance,
Right.
and that was it. So it's amazing that this film was so low budget. It was like $300,000,
Mhm.
basically nothing. I mean, for the 70s, I guess it's something, but basically nothing. And it has made, however, of hundreds of millions of dollars over the 40-50 year span.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the amount of sequels is crazy. And
yeah,
one thing I noticed when I would go back, like, sometimes I always catch something different, even though I have seen like a million times. But like one thing that I never noticed was like how, the way he shoots it with wide angles. Like with horror movies, you think of dark settings like night, and it does have that, but like somehow he managed to make daytime seem scary.
Right.
He had like a wide shot that would typically look like a safe area, but then with a little bit of that music playing, not overpowering the scene, makes the whole scene look and feel creepy.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I honestly think that the music may be one of the biggest things in these films that makes it creepy. Yep. It's the music.
Am I the only? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My apologies. I thought you were done. Am I the only one who thinks when you hear the theme song, there's that very clear line between this is the tune and it's almost distorted out of tune? When I hear the Halloween theme song, I always think, oh, it's supposed to be. It's disturbing because it's played right, but it almost sounds like it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't know music very well. I mean, I love music, but I can't read it, sing it, play it, any of that stuff.
It does kind of give you like almost a slightly off-kilter.
Right. It's unsettling.
Yeah.
It's unsettling.
And, and John Carpenter, just even as a musician, I've always liked him. Like he typically does music for all his films. And like he has a distinctive sound. And even though the Halloween thing has been done a bunch of times, he manages to kind of add something different to each movie. Probably my favorite one is actually, besides the original, is the Halloween theme for the 2018 version. I think where it's a bigger sounding, it works for the area of the.
I have to go check that out. I haven't seen that one.
I think he gets his son involved, so they add like more guitar work and maybe some more like piano based. So it's like really bigger, and it's really cool.
Yeah. So something kind of funny story from my high school days. I was in every grade I could take music class. I did. I was big into guitar then, and the teacher, Miss Atkins, she would teach us guitar by playing piano. She would do the chords and stuff on piano, and then we would follow along on guitar. Well, before she would come into class, every single time, it was daily, I would go to the piano, and I knew enough about piano to do the Halloween theme. So when she would walk in the room, I would be doing, and it was all year that I did that. And like she would get really aggravated that I just kept doing it. And then I remember like towards the last year that I had that class and I just kept doing it. She come in and instead of playing the song that we were going to play, she plays that. This is great.
Did she think you wrote the piece?
No, she knew where it was from.
That would have been the best part.
She
Justin,
knew where
I
it
learned
was
your
from.
Song.
Yeah, she knew where it's from. And when I would do it, some of my buddies that was in there, they would go around, like walking like Michael Myers, like going to stab somebody or whatever. It was great. We had a lot of fun with that. So another fun fact about the mask. I mean, we know it's William Shatner, obviously, but
yeah.
But I guess the history as to why it's William Shatner, when they were filming the movie, they had no plans of what kind of Halloween mask was going to be used. Like they did not know what Michael Myers was supposed to look like. They called him the Shape in the in the script. Like he was the Shape. So it didn't matter to them what he looked like. So they literally go to a Halloween store and they just look around and find whatever the creepiest mask that looked basically lifeless. They said that, it looked evil, looked lifeless. It didn't have any emotions. That's what they were looking for. And it just so happened to be William Shatner.
And it's turned inside out, correct?
I don't know if it's turned inside out, but it is painted.
Yeah.
Like they had to paint it white, obviously.
My favorite part is that years later, when William Shatner found out they used a Captain Kirk mask, he sued because it was his likeness.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
No. I mean, he didn't have anything to do with it, but that's
I wonder,
fun.
did he win?
I don't remember. I read it last week and I was like, I got to tell this. And that was last week. I don't remember.
Huh. That's interesting. I know there's been other lawsuits, and I think we may have mentioned this before, but there was a lawsuit. The original, the father to Marty McFly. I don't know why it's what was that?
Crispin Glover in Back to the Future.
Yes. So he was in the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he was not in the second one, but they used a mask to resemble him, to basically look like him, and then he sued over it. So apparently it's a thing. If you use a mask to someone's face, you're getting sued.
I mean, in all fairness, that they did actually use his likeness. So
right, they legit
a little
did.
Different.
It is, yeah. That's
in this case, it wasn't like William Shatner's killing babysitters.
Right. They didn't.
Although what a movie that would be.
That's
Star
true.
Trek's been canceled. He's down on his luck. It's before the years of T.J. Hooker and William Shatner's killing babysitters. What a movie that would have been in 1978.
What a movie that would be. Yeah.
The Star Trek movies hadn't come yet. I'm writing it on my own. I tell you, I think when I had seen this movie before, and it had been a long time, I must have watched a TV version. Because I remember going into it thinking, this is the rare, scary movie. There's no nudity. I'm thinking before I watch.
Yeah,
I don't remember any nudity. I don't remember the sexual content. And the movie comes on and
it's there.
There was some nudity. And whatever. I'm not endorsing it or criticizing it. It is what it is. But it surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. And, I just didn't remember that. That's what either I'd watched a broadcast version or I just didn't remember.
Yeah. I actually had the same reaction when I watched it this time. This has more nudity than I remember. But again, I'd only ever seen it on cable, on TV.
See, I don't remember, but that has to be the case.
Right. But I do think that compare it to any other slasher film from the 70s and 80s, this is way more PG than...
it's not, in my opinion, gratuitous. And I'm not defending, I could watch a movie and never see nudity again in a movie and it's fine.
You could even consider this a precursor to slashers because it was probably one of the first few besides Black Christmas to actually do this. And then I think Halloween just sort of kicked the door open for the Michael Myers, the Freddys and on. Chucky.
Was Halloween, does Halloween predate Friday the 13th and
by 2 years?
By 2 years. Okay. So it did.
Friday the 13th was 1980 and Nightmare on Elm Street was 84.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of research just so
That
I could have
makes
the conversation.
But yeah, I think that it's great that it is set apart and that it's not your typical slasher films that you're used to. I mean, there is a few scenes where there's blood, but it's not many.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of blood in this.
That.
And I like it too. Yeah.
I like the minimalist approach to blood.
Yep.
I like the killer being largely in the shadows.
I like that's a good point. There's a touch of the supernatural, but it doesn't really, it kind of tiptoes around it. It doesn't really go into it.
I didn't pick up on any in this one, Matney.
Not in this one.
I did. I felt like it was it was kind of faint. It's bad. It's in there, but it's not addressed.
He seems superhuman in terms of strength.
Right.
He can obviously take wounds like no other, like Mick Foley. You know,
Right.
yeah, I mean, nothing phases him, so that's his superhuman for sure. But what I really love about this movie is that it feels like the most real that could happen in real life. Whereas, Freddy Krueger's not going to happen. You know that any Jason movie's not going to happen. This feels real. This could happen.
Well,
You
and
know,
because sorry again.
but
No, you good.
Because it's either the first or the first big slasher movie.
mhm.
You want to fuss at the characters. Don't go out at night with no shoes on. Don't leave the window open. But we have the benefit of 40 odd years of seeing these movies. Although
Yep.
I don't watch a lot of them. I know the tropes. They don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to consider it in universe. Like, it's a small town. There's never been anything like this. And that's the thing. It's all fresh. It doesn't seem fresh to us now, but in 1978 in the theaters, it would have seemed fresh.
Right.
And aside from Michael Myers and Laurie, Dr. Loomis plays a big part of these films. Like at least
I
a lot
love
of
that character.
because he is so obsessed with Michael Myers in this part of his career
Yep.
to the point where he looks just as crazy at times.
Oh yeah.
And like so it's like you have this, the cop who they sort of team up together. You got the skeptical cop who's trying to be reasonable, but then you got Dr. Loomis on this side. It's like, screaming, he's crazy. You got, like the crazy guy. And it's like, I never looked at it like that before until like the last time I watched it. But I'm like, yeah, the idea of studying someone like Michael Myers has drawn Dr. Loomis to be this crazy.
Yep. He's basically obsessed with
Yeah.
Michael Myers, I feel like. And in these modern sequels, doesn't he release Michael Myers? Isn't he a part of his release?
See here. He's not. He's only released in the newer trilogy, and I guess. But Dr. Loomis is dead by that point. But they got this other guy in replace of him. That's like a influence version of him. But I think it's just the modern ones where he's sort of released and then he just winds up breaking out of the bus or something like that.
Gotcha.
I haven't seen any. In fact, I haven't seen a Halloween movie since the fourth one, I think.
I have to go back and rewatch 2018. It's been a while since probably when it first came out.
This makes me want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Actually.
Yeah, but like they're not terrible. I mean, to me, they're a lot more well done than the Thorn trilogy version. I feel like the Thorn trilogy was just like a cluster of
What's
messes.
the Thorn trilogy?
It's 4, 5, and 6. It's the one where it really goes supernatural and they try to bring in like all this.
Sorry to ask a dumb question. See,
no, you good.
I don't know those things.
I know more than what any person should know about Halloween.
I think Halloween 1 and 2. I
Hocus
actually just watched 2 this evening, and the original 2.
Oh, really?
And and it was good. It's a good movie. It's really when they press hard on Laurie being his sister. That's when you find out.
What's the story there? Because I can't remember.
So in the second one, they admit that she's related to Michael Myers.
She was
and
adopted.
That carries on for a couple films. And then in the newer 2018, all that is just retcon, and
Correct.
The only thing that matters is the first one.
And when I watched the 2018 version, that was my biggest hang up, is I just could not get over the fact that she's no longer his sister. It was one of the things I really enjoyed. But I didn't remember that we didn't get that information until the second movie.
Yeah.
In the first movie, which is my favorite, you wouldn't have known that,
Well,
Did you notice
it's in so many films that you just kind of think of it. It's just there.
It's all blended together. What was that, Nate?
She doesn't even encounter the movie's 91 minutes long. He does not go after her until there's 20 minutes left, including credits. That's
Correct.
amazing.
Yeah.
Correct. That and that's why I'm beginning to like the modern sequels a little better now, because I can kind of see that maybe the original idea, maybe they didn't have an idea that she was his sister. That was an afterthought, you know. And then if she's not his sister, and if he's not really targeting his family, which is the later movies, he's targeting other members of his family. So if he's not, then what is he doing? What's his agenda? And that's been my thought process the couple past weeks since I've been watching the movies. I watched Halloween Kills, which is the sequel of the sequel, and that came out last year. I just watched it the other day, and again, you don't have the tie there, and he is killing a lot. Actually, I don't. The reason why I don't like that movie is because it is just a strictly slasher film, in my opinion. He just goes around. He is killing everybody. It is, Jason Voorhees on steroids, and that's not Michael Myers. Like, that's just not what. Yeah, he kills people, but in my opinion, he's more calculating. He's not killing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the original interpretation of Michael Myers, there was some kind of reason. Now, do we know it? I don't know that we know it, but there was a reason. He's just not going around killing everybody. In the movie, it seems like he's either killing people that's getting in his way or that he meets. So like the girls, when they're walking down and he's driving by, and the one yells at him. Well, now he's familiar with them. So now it's like he's obsessed.
Yeah.
I thought it was because at the beginning of the movie, he felt neglected when his sister, wasn't that his sister that was babysitting him?
It was.
She had her boyfriend over. They slept together. He murdered her. So I thought he associated
babysitting.
And teenagers having sex with being neglected.
Right, which
that's why he killed the other four.
Which goes into the idea of it being the babysitting murders, because he was really targeting babysitters.
Maybe I thought too much about it, but I thought that was obvious.
It wasn't obvious to me, but I think I'm clouded because of the idea that I always thought it was like family related.
Right.
Well, so I'm very clouded.
If you
not having the knowledge of all the rest of them, I only judged it on the first one.
Right.
If you ignore all the sequels, because for the sake of the argument for this one, I'm just focused on the first one. Like, it is sort of random to me. Like, he doesn't have a logical purpose. He's just doing it to be doing it in a way. But like, I guess he's supposed to be like this idea of just pure evil. Like,
well, Loomis keeps calling him pure evil.
Yeah.
He hits it over your head pretty hard that this is pure evil. This would, so I guess it kind of is hinted that he doesn't have a rhyme or reason why he's doing this.
Right.
But some of the scenes,
the sequels, it's like they're trying to not humanize them, but like trying to give them a reason.
They give a reason.
And that's where it gets kind of iffy with some of the sequels. Like, I guess it's why the Thorn trilogy didn't really work for a lot of people, even though I enjoyed some of them, not 5, but like, I like that they left it kind of in the shadows. Like, they didn't have to explain a whole lot of the background of why he's doing what he's doing. It just, Laurie and her friends just kind of were just unlucky.
They were in the wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
But if we had to put a reason on movie 1, on the original, I think based on the scenes of, him killing mostly females. Now, he did kill at least one guy who was, or two. So, no, it's just one. The one that, one of the I think Annie, was it Annie that was sleeping with a guy?
Yeah,
somebody. There was one of them. Yeah. So he ended up killing the boyfriend.
Right.
In that case, but it was mostly women or girls he was targeting.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think just based on the scene of him putting, I think it was Annie in that bed and having the tombstone of Judith, he's recreating that Halloween night in his head. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he's doing. He wants to, for whatever reason, he enjoyed killing his sister, and he wants to keep killing her over and over in his head.
That's a good, that's crazy. Yeah.
And
do
and
that can, if you just take this movie as, yeah, that makes sense. For if you just ignore all the other sort of
Yep.
sequels and just focus on this, that will make the closest sense of what he's doing.
which is also why he would target girls who babysit, because
Mhm.
that's what his sister was doing. So yeah, that in my head, that was the reason for this movie.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh goodness. But so here's another, I guess, fun fact, and this is why I think this is one of the best horror movies. It's because I don't know that I would consider it horror. It's more of a psycho thriller,
It's a thriller,
and
yeah.
and this was heavily inspired by the movie Psycho,
Hmm.
and so much so that Sam Loomis is a character in Psycho,
Hmm.
and his girlfriend was named Marion, and that was played by Jamie Lee Curtis's mom in Psycho.
Janet
Yep.
Leigh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ties to Psycho here, and I am a huge fan of the Psycho series,
Hmm.
or the movies,
I've seen the original.
Just the
series.
first one.
Yeah.
You've
Like,
only
I
seen the
haven't-
first
I
one?
haven't kept up
The
with
first one's the only
this-
one I've ever wanted to see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I the black and white ones I watched, I think all of them, but the latest series that came out, just
Bates
I don't
Motel?
know, Bates Motel.
Yeah.
Wonderful series.
Oh,
It was-
yeah,
it
that's
was
what
good.
is.
Wonderful
Yeah.
series. Loved it.
I do remember. I don't remember the sequels as much, but I do remember the remake that came out in the 90s with Vince Vaughn.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
the shot for shot remake, yeah.
yeah, it was kind of pointless. But whenever I think of, if I ever watch Psycho, I usually just stick with the first one because it is such a huge influence on the horror, especially the slasher genre.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would say it probably would be considered the first precursor slasher film.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And with Halloween, like, it definitely, I was reading something into like how it definitely was a product of its time, because I guess the Vietnam War is over and now America's wanting to kind of move forward into like try to be more happy and like enjoy life a little more. So that's why you have characters like Laurie's friends who are a little more on the party side that wants to just do, drugs, sex,
Mhm.
and Laurie's a little more toned back and more responsible. So like that represents kind of like she represents like a conservative part of America at the time, and her friends are kind of like what the direction was going into with like, trying to move away from like the Vietnam War and all the craziness from all that.
That's good thinking. I hadn't even
Yeah.
thought about that.
All right. What other points do we have for either this movie or the movie in general?
Is it true
that
that at the tell me when.
Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't it true that originally at the end of the movie when she looks out the window, he's laying there? And after the movie was released and they greenlit a sequel, they changed the ending so she looks out and he's gone, or when Loomis looks out and he's gone.
I think that I've heard that before, but I don't really know.
I mean,
how
I have
true it
no
is,
way
but
of
yeah.
knowing. I was 2
Yeah.
months old when this movie.
But I don't know how true that is. So like, I'm kind of glad they did do that. They left it to where he's like, and that's another reason. Like, I feel like there's like these touches or hints that are very faint of supernatural stuff with this character. And then, of course, with the sequels, they kind of go a little more into it. But like, he's such a, I guess, embodiment of evil is what the whole theme of this movie is for him.
And I like the
And I
unknown
like
that
that.
he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my favorite kind of slasher.
Mm-hmm.
They don't speak.
Yep.
Like the Freddy Krueger movies and Nightmare on Elm Street series, they're fun. Like they're not scary. I don't care what anybody says. They're not scary because he's so loud. And there's a place for that. But
Yeah.
like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Leatherface does not talk.
Mhm.
And
I mean, he makes noise, but he doesn't talk.
I think the point of view part of the film, like where they're looking through the mask. I think that came from like another movie. Maybe it was called Peeping Tom or something. But like,
Oh yeah,
that influenced so many other, like Jason Voorhees, and like especially that first film, because you don't know who the killer is until the very end.
yeah.
It's what, and then with this, it's like it lets you know right off the bat that it's a kid. After that, you realize who it is.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Yeah. So that was a new, for its day, that was a new camera, a new type of camera. I forget what it was called.
Oh,
but
you're
I know
right.
I know that they had to spend like half the budget just on the camera for those scenes. But it was such amazing shots to get to be in the point of view of the killer.
Yeah.
Like, not many movies even still today do that.
Mm-mm.
And
So
it's
really impressive.
even though it's the oldest of the films of all the the collection, to me it still looks almost the best. Like it doesn't, like because like there's some, like the ones from the 90s sort of has a 90s touch to it, because like I think it got bought up by Dimension Films, so it kind of has that sort of Dimension look. And then Rob Zombie has his own style of take on it, but like
True.
this one just has such a more grounded and clear look of a film.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that has to do with like, I forget who the cinematographer was for this film, but he wound up going and working with movies like Jurassic Park and I can't remember a bunch of other ones, but like I think he helped really capture that look of what this film is. And I really think that's like the team behind this film just was a great team. And it's like, I mean, how old is this movie right now? It's like 40 some years old, and it's like still being talked about.
Yep.
42?
Yeah.
40. Wait a minute.
I don't do math.
44.
Yeah, it's
78.
44.
Yep.
It's the same age as me. It's 44. I mean, why am I struggling with that? It's my age. It came out in 78. Well, so did I.
That's great. Something else that
Of the
I
womb,
think,
not the closet. I'm not doing that.
something else that I think is a major influence of Michael Myers and Jason too, but I'm just going to say Michael Myers for this example, is the characters of Undertaker and Kane in WWE. Like just the stalkery feel, the sitting up, like even in the movie, Michael Myers is choking people like a choke slam. He is literally holding people up. I feel like this is where this come from. It was from these type of movies, and I want to think that Michael Myers is a heavier influence on those characters because, number one, because he's human and supernatural or superhuman, if you will, and that's what those characters was supposed to be. And not only that, but you have the creepy piano.
True.
More
True.
Michael Myers. Yep.
That's, if it's not true, it's a good thought. And I mean, I don't know if it is or not, but that's a good thought.
Yep.
So like, out of all the, I don't know how many of the sequels you've seen,
Not
the
a
ones
one.
I've enjoyed the most, besides the original and the second one's probably H2O and 4. Even though 4 is basically kind of like almost a retread of the first one, but with the niece.
Yeah, doesn't she wear the clown costume?
Yeah,
Oh,
so it
I may
kind
have
of
seen that.
ends with
I
how
think I have
Halloween
seen that
1
one.
sort of begins.
Yeah, does she end up killing someone?
Yeah, she I think she winds up either. Well, in the fourth one, she kills the mom, but I think in the fifth one they wind up screwing that up or something, and I think she winds up living or whatever. Like the fifth one is just terrible. It's like one of my least favorite ones.
The fifth one is just terrible.
Yeah, I hated that one. Like,
Now, is H2O the one that Buster Rhymes is in?
no, that's Resurrection.
Oh, okay.
H2O
See,
is.
I know he
yeah.
was in one, but I don't know that. I feel like I didn't do enough
Is
research.
H2O the one where Laurie supposedly chops his head off, but then turns out it's not him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Spoilers.
well, the movie came out in 1998. If you need spoiler tags, you're in trouble. Because wasn't H2O
I'm still trying to catch
Halloween
up.
at 20?
Yep.
But H2O, like it had it also had that sort of 2000 early or late 90s dimension film look, and I think by that point they were trying to imitate Scream a little bit. So
that would make sense.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like Scream really kind of influenced the 90s on horror, because it just seemed like
it's weird though, because Scream didn't come out till like 97 or 98.
Yeah, I know, it's so weird. And
it's weird that it came out that late and it was still so influential.
And I guess because it was so different, because it was a slightly meta, and then it was incorporating a little bit of the satire, the comedy with horror, and then I think with when Dimensions was doing Halloween, they sort of try to bring in that kind of style with the new teenagers of that time, and it was just I like it. Don't get me wrong, I like that era, H2O. Even though Resurrection's not great, I do kind of enjoy it a little bit. But yeah, I always go back to the original the most.
It makes sense though, because when you like the characters, you'll sit through a bad movie of a franchise you like. I mean, I'm a Marvel guy, a Marvel superhero guy. I've watched all their movies, and some of them have been awful.
Yeah,
but I will watch a bad Marvel movie over just about anything else. It's the same principle. Nothing wrong with you liking them. Now, let me ask this, because I honestly don't know. Michael Myers, the mask comes off briefly in the original.
Yeah.
Does the mask ever come off again?
Let's see here. I want to say not like it. I don't.
So
I don't.
It definitely
not like that.
It definitely comes off in Halloween Kills. That's what part of the plot.
Oh well, yeah. I keep throwing those out because
the newer,
in the newer one, basically he is a monster. This is Kane's storyline here, where when he loses his mask, it makes him vulnerable.
Now
that was part of the plot.
Zombie ones,
it's like me on Sunday mornings. I take my towel off and all my pastor powers are gone.
Yeah. Now in the Rob Zombie duology, it does come off multiple times, because even though I know the second one gets a lot of crap, I do like how Rob Zombie uses the mask as almost like a transformation tool. Almost like when he puts on the mask, he becomes like this superhuman, almost like at times.
It's like psychological. It's like a psychological weapon.
But yeah, I think other than I think the Rob Zombie films, I don't think it comes off as much not like that. So,
and I'm feeling like I should have done a little more research. I watched 90 minutes and was like, I'm good. I got points and things to talk about. Y'all talking about the other 7, 8, 9, the other 10 movies or whatever.
I just have
I didn't watch any of those.
I have
I've seen some of them when I was young, but that doesn't count.
Now, originally after the second one, they wanted this to be almost like an anthology movie series. That's why the third one's called.
Wasn't there Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
people now online, when you read about it, are like, if Season of the Witch wasn't called Halloween, it'd be considered a classic. And I don't know if it would or not, but that's what people have said.
Do I think Season of the Witch is terrible? No. Do I like it? Not as much as the others. Because
do you think it's because it had the Halloween name?
I think for me, I was already exposed to so many Michael Myers movies by that point. When I actually went back and watched the third one, I was like, well, this is kind of dumb, Maybe, but over time, I get where the John Carpenter and Deborah Hill are coming from on this. And honestly, I like that idea, but I think just the character of Michael Myers just became so popular that they had to incorporate him.
They basically had the idea of American Horror Story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Except their stories probably made sense all the way through.
Yeah.
I do think they Horror Story. It never makes sense start to finish.
Now they probably could incorporate 3 a little more, and I think they sort of hinted in Halloween Kills. I think the Shamrock thing was mentioned at one point, but I don't think it ever is referenced ever again after that.
Interesting. So apparently the original Michael Myers house still exists, the house that they used, but it doesn't exist at the same property. they basically picked it up and moved it, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, they named it a historical landmark because it was built in 1888. So it was named, and apparently the location, I guess, was going to be used for something else. So they literally lifted it up, moved it somewhere else. So, but it does still exist.
That's
so
cool. I didn't know that.
Is it a
Yeah,
tourist attraction?
it is a tourist attraction,
It
and
should be.
so in the Halloween Kills, they use the modern version, the updated version of the house. I mean, the house is basically looks modern at this point, but they do use that in Halloween Kills, so it's kind of cool.
So who's the best movie slasher ever? Or slasher, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Who's the best?
Who are you asking? Who the best? If you're asking who the best slasher is I mean, it's probably Jason or someone like that. But if you're asking,
I'm just asking because I don't have a definitive answer.
What franchise is the best movie in the slasher? That's two different questions. I would say Halloween. In my book, Halloween is the best franchise. But I don't know that he's the best slasher because he doesn't kill as much as the other ones do.
Okay. I feel like if you're basing it on like the amount of kills and type of kills, I mean, Freddy or Jason would be the two, because like I feel like they have more creative kills in some films, but out of like consistency with the characters, I feel like Child's Play is probably, because like with Michael Myers,
there's true.
Yeah. Because with Michael Myers, there's so many different storylines, and that can kind of throw people off. But yeah, I don't know. That's strength wise, probably point. Jason.
Yeah. I always like, so the Freddy versus Jason movie. I actually really enjoyed. It was, yeah. And I always wanted to see a Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers, or a Jason versus Michael Myers. Now, in reality, Jason should just mow down Michael Myers because Jason is a zombie. Like he is supernatural, whereas Michael Myers in the original interpretation was not. So
that movie went through so much like writing hell, production hell is what they called it, and then when it came out, it blew up. It made all this money, and then like people wanted a sequel, but like it just never went off the ground. Like I kind of wanted a sequel, but I can't remember if like New Lines lost the rights to Jason at the time or what, because like they had Jason. I mean, that's why Jason Goes to Hell was sort of, or why it did the way it ended.
When the characters are owned by different studios, and neither studio wants their character to lose.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Which is stupid, because I'd rather have money than a winner any day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take my character, make me millions of dollars, do what you want, just don't make him look stupid.
And if I remember correctly, the ending, Jason kind of won, but he didn't really, because Freddy wasn't dead. Right.
Yeah. He wink at the camera or something.
Yeah. See,
I've seen it, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that was like that was kind of like I guess the middle ground for studios and the producers and whatever, because like one of the original scripts for that movie was Freddy was actually one of the camp counselors there, and he sexually assaulted Jason. And
wow, that would have been a story.
The New Line said no to that because that's their character, and also I kind of agree. I'm like, one, these characters are not supposed to be humanized. They're evil characters, right? Like you're supposed to Jason he drowned, but like he's still a murdering maniac. You're not supposed to humanize these characters.
Although I don't know, I feel like the past 10 years or so, we've just been in the realm of, if there's a villain that you should hate, we're going to humanize it, make you like him.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like the Joker, for example.
Yep. Venom, which I don't know the comics very well. I'm assuming Venom's always been a.
Yeah, he's more of a in between. I mean, he's a hero and a villain.
Yeah. Hey, why don't you come out here? Sorry, we're talking to one of the dogs.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, I guess we should announce our next movie that we
that'd be
plan
you.
to review. So, I guess I will go ahead and announce we are going to do It and It, the second chapter. So the more modern interpretations, the reboot.
2017, 2019, or 2018, whatever they are.
Yes. So we are going to review both of those.
Oh man!
So that'll be.
And again, I've seen these movies a buttload times. I don't even have to rewatch them.
I have not seen the second one, the chapter 2. I mean, I did with Tim Curry version, but I have not seen the other.
I'd talk about the Tim Curry version just as much. I like that one.
You might as well. We've talked about every single movie here tonight of Halloween.
We didn't talk about WWE here.
We sure did.
You'd think that would have been me, but that was Stacy.
That's right. So yeah, that's going to be next in the lineup. So that should be a fun watch.
Sweet action.
Yes. All right. So for closing quotes, I went through, and I mean, obviously you're not going to get a good quote from Michael Myers. You could just stand here in silence, I guess. That would have been a fun idea, right? But I found probably the most inspirational, the best quote of the movie. It just sums up Halloween. It's just Halloween in essence of a quote. Oh. So here we go. It's by Linda Vanderklok. So, who cares? I always forget my chemistry book, and my math book, and my English book, and, well, let's see, my French book, and who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget my books. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have books or not.
I think I went to high school with that girl.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. We hope that we were able to entertain you, at least for a spell. If you see value in our craziness and want to continue supporting us, please follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and share our content with someone you may know. Also, let us know how we're doing. Make suggestions for the podcast. Leave us a comment. Heck, send us an email. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Bottle of Pop Culture podcast.
Keith Realty, where prices are made up and budgets don't matter. Dustin speaking. Hello? Is anyone there? Mike, is this you again? Mike, I know it's you. I hear your music playing.
Yes, it's me, Michael.
What can I do for you, Mike?
I want to list my house again.
Oh no. We've listed it 100 times before, and every single time you end up killing the buyers before closing.
Oh, come on. I'm serious this time. I want to move on from this place. Way too many bad memories.
Okay, I'll list, but this is the last time. I have this lovely couple on my waiting list who are desperate to find a home. I'll send them over for a drive-by of your house. Please, though, make sure you are not home when they show up. Michael, promise me you won't murder them. What was that? I didn't hear you.
Gosh, I promise no more murdering.
Fine, thank you. And Michael, remember, when the housing market's a bussin', You better call Dustin.